Profit comes first, you're fired. At this moment, I was fired for being late to a business meeting, causing a disadvantage to the company. I wondered if what I did was wrong or if I should have just looked the other way to save myself. Such negative thoughts raced through my mind. As I finished saying my goodbyes and was about to leave the president's office, the door burst open with a loud noise. Who could have imagined that the next moment would change our fates? I am Jason, a 25-year-old salesperson for health food products. My company has developed a supplement. For busy working adults, we've created a convenient supplement that meets daily nutritional needs with just 2 doses a day. This supplement was developed in response to the recent surge in overall health interests. And as expected by the company, this supplement became a hot topic. Even before I started selling, the supplement was already well known. But just because it's sold doesn't mean it's the end of the line. In an effort to further increase sales, I have been pitching to wholesalers. With the supplement originally being a hot topic, their response has been very positive, and the more I sold, the more our sales channels continued to expand. This has been a great success for both me and the company. My sales performance and the company's business have continued to grow. However, as supplement sales increased, problems began to arise. Complaints started to come in that were not present at the beginning, such as foreign object contamination and delays in product delivery. The complaints have been increasing steadily. Seeing this as something that cannot be ignored, I decided to speak with the department head, Tom. Thank you for your time. What's happening? Is there something bothering you? Yes, I believe you are aware that there has been an increase in complaints about the supplements recently. Oh, you mean that? I've heard that. While it's wonderful that the supplements are doing well, I think we might need to revisit our production system a bit. What do you mean? Why do we need to do that? Well, if we leave this issue as it is, the complaints might increase even more. Aren't you overthinking this a little? Even if the number of complaints is increasing, it's still a small percentage of the total. That may be true, but if the popularity of the supplements continues to rise, we might be overwhelmed. We are in the best state in our company's history. This is not the time to stop. However, history teaches us that ignoring small problems now can lead to serious consequences later, so now is the time to. Enough. You should just focus on selling more supplements. You're worrying too much. I had realized long ago that Tom and I had different attitudes towards sales. No, fundamentally, we see the world differently. So, I had anticipated that he might not listen to me. The non-management employee like me has no choice but to do what the boss says. Although I'm a bit worried, I have to keep doing what I can do, which is to continue selling. In terms of sales, his predictions were accurate, and my sales performance knew no bounds. And the further growth of the supplement's reputation in the industry has led to talks with a very well-known major distributor. If I can close this deal, it would be possible to distribute the supplements through various channels, making it certain that they would sell even more. Securing this deal would boost my evaluation and further open the path to promotion. Though I was concerned about the increasing complaints, I decided to focus first on closing this significant deal. Even Tom, who probably didn't feel very good about me, was excited about this business negotiation. This is a great opportunity for the company to grow. Make sure you seize it. He sent me off with those words. I prepared as thoroughly as I could until there was nothing more I could do, and faced the day of the negotiation. The business meeting was supposed to take place out of state, so I booked my flight in advance. By the way, I'm not fond of flying. How can such a huge lump of metal fly through the air? I know it's too outdated an idea, but it scared me anyway. Knowing that it was the safest transportation system in the world was no consolation. Despite knowing I absolutely had to nail the negotiation, my spirits were low. Little did I know I would see a man far more desperate than myself. Is there any available seat on the flight to JFK? I absolutely need to get on the next flight. A man was shouting at the airline counter staff with a desperate look. Passengers around him watched from a distance, wondering what was happening. He seemed as desperate as if missing that flight meant losing his life. I'm sorry, but no matter how many times you ask, there's nothing we can do. Could you please, I know it's a lot to ask, but could you please make an exception? I'm afraid there's only one other flight available in 3 hours, so you'll have to take that flight. That might be too late for me. Please stop raising your voice, as it's disturbing other customers. What am I supposed to do? If you continue to shout, we will regretfully have to call security. Please leave. Faced with such firmness, the man seemed to have no choice but to back down. He sat down on a nearby seat with a look of utter despair, covering his face with his hands. Seeing him like that, I walked over to him without hesitation. Standing in front of the man holding his head in his hands, I gently tapped his shoulder. The man was crying, his face crumpled up as he looked up at me. I quietly showed him my flight ticket, telling him I was giving up my seat. Flight ticket to JFK? He said in a voice filled with emotion, as if he had unearthed a treasure map. This will work, right? Are you sure? Yes, I'm not in such a rush. I can't believe it. I thought all was lost. I don't know what's going on, but it must be something important, right? Thank you so much. I will never forget this favor. It's all right. I really don't need to hurry. Really, thank you so much. After I completed the flight change procedures at the counter, I invited the man, who was still in a state of excitement, to go to a cafe in the airport, and we moved there. There was still some time left before the flight check-in. After taking a couple of sips of the coffee we ordered, he finally calmed down and introduced himself as Michael. Thank you, you've helped me calm down a bit. That's good to hear. I'm still incredibly worried, though. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to force yourself. Yes, I want you to know. Would you listen to me? Sure. I positioned myself to listen to him, hoping to ease his distress a bit. Actually, I was here on a business trip when I received news that my wife was in a traffic accident. Oh no, it must be very worrying. Well, I just arrived at this airport, and it still doesn't feel real. Oh, I see. That's tough. When I turned on my phone, I saw missed calls, all from the hospital. I can see why you were so distraught. I never imagined that my wife would be involved in an accident. I know people don't think anything can happen to their own people. He tapped his phone and then held it out in front of me. It displayed a photo of his wife and her sister. Your wife and her sister, maybe? They're both beautiful. Frankly, she's too pretty for me. He said with a smile before his expression turned serious again. Actually, we had a fight yesterday. We didn't even say good morning or see each other before I left for here. Hearing she's in critical condition and unconscious, I realized how irreplaceable she is. If something were to... I held up a hand to stop him from continuing. Let's not go any further. You're right, I know my wife's resilience. She will surely recover. We sat in silence for a while. Could you give me your contact information? I'd regret it for life if I couldn't repay this favor. I insisted it wasn't necessary, but he wouldn't hear of it. Thank you truly, until we meet again. He said, then walked towards the flight to JFK. I watched him go, praying for her recovery. Unless there was a cancellation, it would be 3 hours before I could get on a flight to JFK myself. It didn't seem likely that a cancellation would happen for my sake. I called and told the person in charge of the business meeting what happened. Unfortunately, the client had other appointments and was unable to reschedule. They said they wanted me to let them arrange another time on another day. Of course, we agreed that the business meeting would be at a later date. It was my blame, so I had no choice. But I just felt bad, thinking about telling Tom this fact. I knew exactly what Tom would say. He might have been keen on this negotiation, but he's always had a biting way with me. I considered calling Tom right away and letting him know that the meeting was called off, but I knew he would say something like, "Young people nowadays have no sense of courtesy to try to settle such an important matter over a phone call." I was left feeling thoroughly fed up during the train ride to the office.
"Why are you here? What happened to the negotiation?"
I bumped into Tom as soon as I returned to the office, and he confronted me. I knew I was going to report it anyway, but it caught me off guard.
"Why are you here, I'm asking?" "Yes, well, there was someone at the airport in trouble, and I helped him out. One thing led to another, and I ended up missing the scheduled time, so the negotiation has been rescheduled." "What? So, you're the reason the negotiation was postponed?"
That's right.
"Do you understand what you've done? With actions like that, things that could have been settled won't be."
I am sorry.
"Foolishly, I had high hopes for you. To waste an opportunity by helping a stranger. I'll have to report this to Mr. Parker. You just go home. Get out of here."
I had braced myself for a long, drawn-out lecture, so I felt lucky to be able to leave so easily. I hate being lectured more than anything. Considering that, maybe today wasn't so bad after all. Though I was concerned about being reported to Mr. Parker, I decided to think about it tomorrow. Nonchalantly thinking this, the next day upon arriving at work, I was immediately called into President Bill Parker's office and handed a notice of dismissal. What exactly did Tom tell you?
Don't make it sound as if it's someone else's fault. It's all your fault to begin with, isn't it? The negotiation isn't broken off yet. Isn't firing me quite an overreaction? I've heard quite a bit about you from Tom. It seems you've been acting out of alignment with our company's policies. Is that just because he doesn't like me? Talking with you, I understand well that he was right. You are very defiant. I am not defiant. I simply speak honestly about things I find strange. That's exactly what being defiant is. If subordinates start giving their opinions to superiors, the company won't function.
So, Mr. Parker, are you saying that subordinates should just blindly follow their superiors?
This conversation is pointless. Your sales performance might have been good, but you're a dangerous person and I want you to leave. Aren't you going to ask about the negotiation yesterday? What's the use? It won't be anything beyond what Tom has told me. And you're not the only capable salesperson. There are plenty of others who can replace you.
This was the first time I had spoken to Mr. Parker, and it turned out he was cut from the same cloth as Tom. It doesn't mean I'm superior or anything. It's just that I see things differently with these people. I have no regrets about giving up my flight to Michael, who was stranded at the airport yesterday. Despite the annoying Tom, I got along reasonably well with other employees, and my sales performance was top-notch. Naturally, I'm not happy about being fired. However, I am confident that, even if I reflect on my actions yesterday, hundreds or thousands of times, they were absolutely correct. This is a matter of principle. Even if I'm fired, there are many things I cannot compromise on. Like my feelings towards my father.
Hey Dad, let's play catch. Let's do it, it's a beautiful day. Yay, let's go to the park now. It's dangerous to run out into the street without looking, be careful. Yay, let's hurry.
When I was in elementary school, my father always played with me on weekends. I was proud of my kind and cool dad. I remember feeling proud when a classmate came over and said, "Your dad is handsome and good at sports. He's the best." I thought so too. But as I moved into upper elementary school, he became busier with work, and his weekend work increased, meaning we no longer had time to play. Looking back now, I understand that he simply didn't have the time. I'm an adult now too. Even on days off, I'm often too tired from work to step out of the house. And it's not like I don't have to work on weekends. But as a child, I couldn't comprehend these adult circumstances. I started grumbling about my dad not playing with me anymore.
You have to work today too, even though it's Sunday. Sorry, Jason, work has been really busy lately, and I just have to go. You said that last Sunday too, and the Sunday before that. When will you have time to play? Let's play once things calm down at work, but it might be a while. I can't wait that long. I haven't played with you since forever. I want to play now. Don't make it hard for me. Just wait a little longer. I'm telling you I can't wait. Fine, I won't play with you or talk to you anymore.
My mom also told me not to push him too hard, as he was working hard for the family. Even as a kid, I understood that he was working hard for us. But I was completely childish, and days went by without talking to him. One day, he was hit by a car and passed away. It was a sudden accident, and he was already gone the moment he was struck. I remember the Michael I met at the airport. He had argued with his wife and left for a business trip without reconciling. Then, she was critically injured in an accident. He was in a situation similar to my past. I couldn't bear to let him go through the same emotions I did. That's why I have no regrets about what I did at the airport. Now I just strongly hope that his wife is okay. I'm now handing over my job to someone else at the company where my father used to work too. Yes, I had joined the company where he used to work. To say I was continuing his legacy might be overstating it a bit. But there's no doubt that I followed in his footsteps by joining this company. Because we are both salesmen at the same company, I could understand how much he struggled. Though it's not certain, if he were alive, he would be about the same age as Tom. Working isn't just about completing tasks. In a company, you have to somehow get along even with people you don't mesh well with. Maybe my father had a relationship like seniors, juniors, and peers with people like Tom and Mr. Parker. Of course, it's also possible that Tom and Mr. Parker came from different companies. That, I don't know. But one thing I do understand, vaguely, is that my father must have had his share of struggles too. As a fellow working professional. Reflecting on him, I completed the handover. On my last day, I headed to the president's office. Despite my distaste for Mr. Parker, he was part of the company that took care of me. No matter what he said last, I had to at least say goodbye. I knocked on the president's office door, waited for a response, and then entered.
I thought you had left the company already. I've completed the handover today. Thank you for everything up to now. Did you come here just to say that? What's the point of showing manners now? It's just unpleasant at this point. Then I'll take my leave. What? You could show a little anger, you know? You're no longer part of this company. Well, rumors might spread that you weren't very useful. Then, your father must be very disappointed to hear that, you coward. He wasn't much of a man either, but it's like father, like son.
If the door had opened just a bit slower, I might have turned around and hit Mr. Parker. That was a narrow escape. Ironically, it was Tom who opened the door.
It's urgent, Mr. Parker. Our company is on the breaking news. Can't you knock first? What's all the commotion about? Sorry to interrupt you, just look at this, please.
Tom was working on his phone and seemed to be showing him something. I stood there, my anger suspended in midair, unsure what to do next. My urge to confront Mr. Parker had already faded.
I see, so that's what this is about. Yes, I think it would be a shame to let him just quit.
Though I couldn't follow their conversation, they alternated between staring at the phone and me.
What were they looking at? Don't irritate me too much.
I was reminded of my feelings from middle and high school when I used to get into fights often.
Jason, I have done you wrong. It seems I misunderstood you.
I stared at Mr. Parker, who suddenly began to grovel, without changing my expression.
You've done something remarkable. You're a treasure to our company. Can't you continue working with us indefinitely? Just as Mr. Parker said, well done, Jason. You're a hero to our company.
Faced with their sudden and eerie flattery, I looked back and forth between them with a stern face. I said nothing.
What's with that scary face? If I said something offensive, I'm sorry. Was it about your father? That was a joke, of course. Your father was truly a fine junior colleague of mine. Mr. Parker, you knew his father? Yes, of course, I knew him. We spent a lot of intense time together, and his death in a traffic accident was truly shocking. Alright, I will promote you effective today. Your work has been truly remarkable. Continue to excel in our company. I told Mr. Parker to shut up.
How much were they underestimating me? The stupidity of thinking they could sway me now only irritated me further. Hey! I called out to Tom when I saw him. I could tell his expression froze instantly.
Show me what you showed, Bill.
As if I had pointed a gun at him, Tom obediently handed over his phone. It was news about Michael. It seemed he was able to reach his wife safely. And his wife, who had been unconscious, had regained consciousness. She was past the critical phase and would recover gradually with rest. Michael wouldn't be newsworthy if he was an ordinary person. But it turns out, Michael was the president of the major distribution company I was supposed to negotiate with. The media caught wind of her accident, and it seems he agreed to an interview. During the interview, he apparently mentioned my company and my name, expressing his gratitude. Tom had seen this news video and rushed to inform Mr. Parker. Just before I was about to hit him.
I see you watching this video. Of course he'd want to keep me in the company. If they find out you fired me because I gave up my flight, the deal's off, right? Wait, you didn't tell me that. You two didn't even try to listen to me in detail. Don't give me any stupid excuses.
Saying that, I threw Tom's phone against the wall. The sound of the phone breaking as it hit the floor echoed loudly. Both were completely stunned.
To hell with your offer. I'll never have anything to do with your company. Goodbye forever.
Apparently, the sight of my enraged demeanor was something they had never seen, as they seemed unable to move. I sneered at their frightened faces and left the office. I want to clarify that I haven't been involved in any fights since graduating from high school. The incident in the office might be considered something like a fight. I won't deny that either. But that was the angriest I had been in about 10 years. In my sophomore year of high school, I realized that if I continued fighting, my life would be over. I cut ties with bad influences and studied desperately. Getting into a top university was essential to join the same company my father had worked for.
Let's end this story here anyway.
The day after I lost my temper in the Mr. Parker's office, in other words, the day after I left the company, Michael apparently visited the company to thank me in person. But not finding me there, he asked Mr. Parker and Tom where I was. They simply said I had resigned. No matter how much he asked, they just avoided his gaze and insisted I had resigned. Unsatisfied, Michael called me directly right in front of them. There was no need for him to come all the way, but that's just his character, his kindness. Oh, the company. I was fired. Apparently helping someone in need is frowned upon there. He was utterly shocked that there are still companies out there lacking in morals and ethics. Moreover, the person I helped out was none other than Michael himself, and once he got the details, he was even more furious than I had been. Personally, I think Michael is far more intimidating. Honestly, I was quite scared of his anger myself. He then yelled at them, delivering an ultimatum. The shouting was so loud, I thought my eardrums would burst. And, fortunately, the deal was called off. After I left, the company neglected its customer service so much that, just as I predicted, it went bankrupt due to the accumulated problems. It's rather amazing how quickly supplements that were big hits can disappear from the public eye and be forgotten at the discretion of Mr. Parker and Tom. Now, the company is continually declining, and there are rumors it might soon go bankrupt. Well, even my Father in heaven would agree that this was inevitable.
That was quite an ordeal you went through. Oh no, your wife had it much worse, but thankfully, she regained consciousness. I really appreciate all the help you gave me. I didn't do anything. The only thing I did was change the time of my flight. That's what's so great about you. Generally, people can't do that when they might miss a big business meeting. Well, it just happened that way. Jason, would you please come to work for our company? If we had someone like you, I'm sure the company would improve. Well, I appreciate that because I quit my job without thinking about the future. So we're settled then. That's another thing to look forward to.
After that, I moved to New York and started working for Michael's company. Maybe because Michael is the president, the work environment is wonderful, fostering a culture of mutual support and growth. I met his wife and she thanked me politely. She's incredibly energetic now. Hard to believe she was once in a coma. Michael's sister-in-law also works at the company, and I ended up in her department. I feel like Michael and his wife intentionally arranged that, but I've fallen right into their plan, and now I'm dating her. We're nurturing our relationship like a real family, and I feel like we'll truly become one soon,